mentally in your life.
All right, welcome to the Daily Stampede Postgame show. Proudly presented by Irish 31. Make sure you guys go check out Irish 31. You got a full day of football tomorrow. 12 to, what? When's the West Coast games in?
Hawaii's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you got an entire day to day drink and then afternoon drink and then night drink. Go make sure you go hang out at Irish 31. We are wrapping up the home slate for this 2021 USF Bulls football season. Came fast. That's what she said. Man, it feels like yesterday we were previewing NC State and kind of reeling from that 45-0 shellacking.
Yes.
And we're here tonight as USF puts up a pretty valiant effort against the number 2 team in the country or number 5 team in the country. I know Jerome Ford wasn't playing, but I don't think that really makes much of a difference when you.
It's not like they didn't run for 200 yards.
Right. And it seems like, regardless, Cincinnati doesn't like putting away bad teams. And they did it again tonight. I think the Cincinnati fans cheered the loudest after that final touchdown because, man, style points matter. And
Makes it look a little bit better.
Makes it look a little bit better on, if you're just on the ticker and you don't actually see what actually happened when context sometimes matters in the CFP committee room. We'll see what happens on next Tuesday, but Bulls lose 45-28. USF puts up the most points Cincinnati has allowed all season after a pretty rough first half.
Yeah, and same last week. Our stat guy Steeg told us that it was the same thing last week against Houston, that USF put up the most points anybody's put up on Houston this year. So, and those both were top 10 defenses coming into the game. So the USF offense is definitely ascending a little bit, getting better. We were just talking about how much different it looks than last year. We had to come in here and the games were all a slog on offense.
Mm-hmm.
They can go, they could go a quarter with, or I think they get 39 yards in the first half.
Yeah,
It was like worse than that.
They come out in the second half. I think they had like 250 yards or something in the second half. Maybe ended up with more than that. Scored 3 touchdowns. So, last year's team, it could have taken them a couple weeks to look up that yardage and points. So, definitely improved on offense, and that's what gets you excited. Is it's a lot of young guys that are making the plays on offense, and it seems like everyone on offense will be back next year.
That's what it seems like, right? All the key contributors are young, or they're the super seniors who are coming back. The entire left side of that offensive line announced this week that they're coming back, and I think that's good. Donovan Jennings did go out late in this game. His status is undetermined right now. He just was ruled out. So those final couple of possessions, Josh Blanchard actually stepped in at left tackle for the Bulls. And, coming in cold in the fourth quarter is pretty tough for an offensive lineman, especially against a top 5 defense like this. And, you didn't give up a sack. So that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, this Cincinnati's defense has some NFL guys, I think, probably at every level. There was quite a few scouts here tonight to watch them. A motorcycle guy. I saw scouts from the Packers, the Falcons, and Mike Mayock was here tonight in the press box. So they've got a bunch of guys, I think, that the teams are watching on that defensive side. So to come out and kind of put up the yardage and points you did against this group is a great sign moving forward.
Yeah. And defense is still an issue.
Yeah.
That hasn't been solved. They gave up 506 yards of offense. I wouldn't say none bigger, but pretty glaring. That final 55-yard touchdown run by Ryan Montgomery to truly ice it and give the Bearcats some style points at the end there. They were just
4 broken tackles on that run alone. They've been
4th and 2. the touchdown.
Well, you
goal
look, you
line.
had guys in position to make the play, and they didn't. And then there are other times where guys were not in position. This is the fifth. Now I think it's the fifth game this season that they've given up 500 yards or more.
Correct.
Not great. Giving up 485 a game now, 7 yards of play for the season. So, as good as it's going on offense, it's almost the reciprocal on defense. So that's something that's going to have to get fixed by personnel or other means. So that's still kind of the lingering issue over this team. Last year, it was there wasn't really anybody that was doing much. This year, the offense has improved, and you can see they are on the rise there. The defense is kind of stagnant or kind of getting worse as the season goes on as health becomes a bigger issue.
Yep. Just to kind of highlight how bad that first half was. In the first quarter, USF's, it's 7-7. They ran 20 plays for 30 yards. And then in the second quarter, they ran 8 plays for 9 yards. It really bogged down after that first scoring drive where, once again, just another weird start to a Cincinnati USF game. And, it's happened often. In 2018 when Chris Oladokin and Brett Keane were, splitting snaps with Blake Barnett out, it was weird. And then 2019, Spencer Schrader misses 4 field goals where USF could win and maybe not derail Cincinnati's build up, but definitely it probably would have saved Charlie Strong's job. So, Spencer Schrader with the foresight on that one, I guess. Because that was a game late in the season that they really should have won.
Yeah.
And then last year, I think there were turnovers on 4 straight possessions to start the game. And then here we are again tonight, three more turnovers. USF was kind enough to actually punt on the first possession. So it was punt and then 3 turnovers, and then USF finally cashed in on one of those turnovers. And all of that happening in the first quarter in those first 2 games over the last 2 years. It's just there's something about the Cincinnati USF games that are always weird. People watching, that 2007 game was one of the weirdest games ever. I think Mike Jenkins, he killed a guy, and there was also a kickoff return. He absolutely decapitated some dude on. It was one of the hardest hits I've ever seen in my entire life.
High school, Mike Jenkins.
And then there was a kickoff return. There was, I think, there are a couple pick sixes. It was a weird game that USF ultimately loses. I believe the final score was 38-35, if I'm not mistaken. It was homecoming. And it was packed. It was just a weird time. This series has always been pretty freaking weird. And just added to the pile. And what does this game say more about where USF is heading, or does it say more about where Cincinnati probably isn't right now?
See, I think it's more about USF because I think Cincinnati has been kind of playing with their food the last few weeks. I bet if you go and look at the post-game win expectancy, Cincinnati was not really threatened in this game from winning terms. I thought you felt they were going to win based. Once the second quarter happened, there was really no doubt they were going to win. But USF came back and made it a little bit more competitive than anybody thought it would be. And Cincinnati misses covering again for, I think, the 4th straight week.
4th straight week.
So I think it's more about USF kind of showing that grit and fighting back and getting something figured out. Because it's not like Cincinnati wasn't playing hard on defense. They kind of kept coming in waves and were just really, really good. They talked about in the postgame, I think Mangum said they were so impressive because they were just continually coming downhill at full speed, no hesitation on their part. And you'll notice that really good defenses don't hesitate, they attack. So if you see some other defenses are more hesitant, not probably as well coached as some others. You watch Georgia, full speed downhill. You watch Cincinnati, full speed downhill. So it's not like Cincinnati was taking it light on them. They just made some plays against them. Jimmy Horn wins in man coverage, catches a slant, gone. Those guys weren't jogging. They were running full speed trying to catch them. They just couldn't. So I think it says more about USF, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep. The USF falls to 2-8, 1-5 in the conference. We asked, at the start of the year, we thought 4 wins was a good number. If you asked me if going into the last 2 weeks, if you asked me September 1st, going into the last 2 weeks of the season, that USF needed to win those last 2 games to win 4 games on the year, I was like, absolutely not. But the progress that this team has made week after week, defense aside, gives you at least an outside shot to beat Central Florida in the season finale. I really think USF's going to be favored at Tulane next week. Maybe this is.
It may depend on their game against Tulsa this weekend.
Right. If they're close with Tulsa or they beat Tulsa, then absolutely they'll definitely be the favorite. But if they get blown out again,
that's the other side of the coin. USF has seen some progression. Tulane and UCF have both seen regression from where they thought. UCF was like a 9.5 win total for the season. They're not going to get anywhere close to that. They've been pretty bad. It'll be interesting to see how they play against a really good offense at SMU tomorrow, because they've been able to play pretty well defensively the last few weeks, but they've been playing bad offenses. So that'll be interesting to see how they play. If they get waxed there like they did against Cincinnati. So just for like a reference point, Cincinnati played UCF and was up 45-0 before they called the dogs on. So this Cincinnati team has shown the ability to just wax people. For whatever reason, it's not happening lately, and USF gave them a lot of trouble tonight.
They really did, and that's the impressive thing. I mean, it was 31-7 after the opening drive in the second half, and USF came back and scored 3 straight touchdowns just to make it a 10-point game, just to be a little bit more competitive. I think one of the most impressive things, we've talked about complimentary football all year. It didn't really start out that way. Probably the reverse part of that, with special teams actually giving Cincinnati the ball. It's 2/3 of the complimentary football that you really want. But the defense gets that goal line stand on fourth and goal from the 1. They fumble. They wouldn't have gotten it anyway. But then USF goes 16 plays, 98 yards, and scores a touchdown. And that to me is the progress that we're looking for on offense. And we are not ignoring just how bad this defense is. Glenn Spencer still got to kick rocks. He's not it. He won't be it. I think this, we talked about it last week with Will Turner from Bulls 24/7. It's not going to affect recruiting at all. Maybe one guy, right? But it's not going to affect recruiting unless there are wholesale changes across the defensive staff. But you gotta figure something out here, man. 5 straight games with 500+ yards. You've already given up 2 of those games or 600+.
2 over 600, 5 for the season over 500, and the average is 485. That's creeping up. So you give up another 600-yard game, you might be over 500 for the season.
So it's getting to the point where heads need to roll here, and the U.S.
Dos
Acero. Oh yeah. Oh my land.
It was predestined.
85th minute. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
The Weston McKinney action.
Oh, a little Westy McKinney.
Oh man, look at that. Dos Acero, as USF got booted off at ESPN2 for ESPN News for the start of this soccer match. So good for the U.S. getting a big win. This is World Cup qualifying, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The CONCACAF.
It's not over yet.
Right. But I mean, for USF, they just need to continue to progress. Progress more. The running game has been absent the last 2 weeks, but you're not playing. You're not going to get anywhere, shape, or form the resistance that you're going to get from Houston and Cincinnati against Tulane and UCF. Like, that's just not going to happen.
No, they are 2 top 10 by almost just about every metric now. Now, after playing USF, Houston actually jumped up in yards per play and things like that. USF hurt them a little bit. But coming in that game, they were top 10 in just about everything. Going to be top 10 in third downs, yards per play, average yard, or available yard percentage. Cincinnati is the same way, top 10, top 5 in almost everything. And you played really well. That's why the last 2 weeks, I think I've picked 13 points for the offense. And just because I was just, watching this, like, if they just come and load the box and play man coverage, are you going to be able to make the plays? I didn't think they would be able to. And they did. And the third of Jimmy Horn is kind of a testament to that. They play man coverage, you beat them with a good throw, and then your guy is faster than everybody on the field. So I think it's a great sign the last 2 weeks, the offense's progression.
And, my prediction was Cincinnati 37, USF 23. That damn touchdown at the end really screwed it up for me. That would have been a really good call by me again. Feel pretty in tune still with this team. Steeg, maybe not so much. I think you had Cincinnati winning 55-10.
No,
56-10. To be honest, I thought Luke Fickle was like.
I blacked out when Steve was talking.
Yeah, I
don't remember what it was.
I started talking about musicals and it went off. But yeah, I had 56-10 because I thought like Cincinnati, who needed a big statement win.
Yep.
I thought this was history has told me USF is the get right team always, and I need to start rethinking that mindset when I get my expertly in tune predictions week in week out.
I mean, it looked like it was well on its way though, until that first drive for USF, 31-7. They had 39 yards of offense at that point. It looked like it was going to be one of those nights where Cincinnati just kind of set the tone early and just kind of boa constrict python you to death and just take all the air out of the ball and all the air out of your offense. But USF found a way to come back in the second half and put together a good performance in the half. So I think the game, like I said earlier, over 250 yards in that half.
And the second half,
Yeah.
they gained, let me make sure, they gained 307 yards in the second half.
There you go. So that's probably, I would be shocked if that wasn't the most Cincinnati's given up in a half this year. So
Didn't I say at halftime to you when we were going down to the halftime picture that I said that 56-10 is still on the table?
Yep.
I mean, it was. And then US's offense kind of figured some things out and really flipped the game a little bit. But are we getting any questions?
Not a question, but a comment, and this will actually be a good thing to discuss. Eric said that he's really been impressed with the goal line defense, at least.
Yeah, they're playing. The thing is, and what you got to respect these guys for, I think, is maybe they're not always being put in the best position. Maybe they're not putting themselves in the best position. But they play hard. These guys aren't quitting, and that's apparently the goal line. When we're up here, we're like, just let him score so you get more time for the ball in offense. We're all kind of like, come on, it's a fait accompli. Just let him go. We want the ball back. And those guys bow up and get a stop. It's kind of a natural feeling when you get back there to just, all right, we'll give this one up. We'll get it next time. But they continue to play hard, which I think is a good indication of the kind of culture you have. Yeah. And then Coach Scott kind of spoke to that with all the guys that want to come back next year.
Yeah.
I made him cry.
Yeah, I made him cry. That's my bad. Sorry, Coach. But I mean, even though Cincinnati scored on a 4th and goal from the 2-yard line. I mean, they were in position. They gotten it to 4th and goal. I mean, there is steps in the right direction. It's just
I thought they were
putting
better
yourself in enough positions to.
I think they were better this week than last week, but still not winning defense. Still.
Right. I mean, the stats bear that out, right? I mean, they allowed
about 100. Let's go.
100. Yeah, just about. And then the yards per play was down by over 2 yards.
Yeah.
So they're. I mean, that second quarter killed them, right? They've played Cincinnati to a stalemate in 3 of the 4 quarters. It's just that the second quarter killed them, and just. You're not good enough to just give up 17 points in a quarter and think you're going to come back and be fine. And they're learning that the hard way, right? And it's.
But to Eric's point, they're not giving. These guys are fighting to the very last whistle. They're not very good at tackling, but that's not always an effort issue. Sometimes you're almost going too hard and you get out of control, right? So. I think that's a positive, because these are college players. These guys don't get paid, so all they can give you is their effort and as good as they can give you. If they're not good enough, that's up to the coaches to get better players in or find better players or help those guys improve. But if they're giving you 100%, that's all you can ask them. And I think all the guys on defense are. And I mean, you can tell. Look how many guys get hurt because they're going till the wheels fall off.
Right. And Desmond Ridder, 31 of 40, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Had a sack, but his longest pass completion was 21 yards because they just dinking down the field, right? And I still don't think Desmond's that good a quarterback. I'll be perfectly honest on this one here, folks. But it doesn't matter if they keep winning, right?
Yeah, he's athletic. He's got a pretty good arm.
He's bigger than I
Yeah.
I saw him on the field
He's a
after
big
the
guy.
game. He's a lot bigger.
And he's got a really good command of what they do. Some of those quick throws are because he just gets the ball to his hands really fast and he finds the open guy. Like there's times where he could wait. So this is something I think that this is like Timmy's next progression too. Sometimes Timmy will try to wait to get the deeper one open.
Yep.
And just, hey, if it's not there right now, come down, take the check down, which he did later in the game tonight. So that was nice to see. But that's kind of where Ritter's at, where he's really understands their offense. I think they talked about he's in like the game plan meetings with the coaches now since he's been there so long. And you saw that tonight by how quick he gets the ball to his hands. So I think that's what NFL teams and pro guys are looking at is kind of his mind. He's got a pretty good mind. He understands the position, and he's got some tools that you don't find everywhere. But
that first pick was.
But he, I mean, in his defense, I think he hit the receiver's hands and he popped it up in the air like it was a volleyball set.
Eric, were you surprised with the size of Christian Williams and TJ Robinson that we don't do any more press?
No,
I don't think Glenn
so
Spitzer ever pressed.
Christian Williams
He
said in the post game he's about 85-90% back from what Jeff Scott said this week was ankle surgery.
Throw him the Tulsa tape. They press right before half. When you got a corner that's 85%, against receiver it's 100%, you press, he beat you off line of scrimmage, easy touchdown. Turn that Tulsa game around right before the half.
Yep.
So,
But it's tough, and I think we'll wrap up with this unless you guys got something else. In the first half, this is something we've been harping on, right? Third downs. We've been harping on it. They were actually pretty good. I think they were 8 of 16 last week against Houston. Every time they converted a third down, they scored. In the first half tonight, USF was 1 of 7 on third downs. All right, and then they converted a fourth down, so they were 2 of 7 extending drives. Right. In the second half, USF was 6 of 6 on third downs, and they scored 3 touchdowns in 5 possessions.
And Timmy looked magical.
He looked comfortable,
Yeah.
right? And there was a couple of those dig routes to Xavier Weaver that he was able to hit, just throwing it in there. There was one to Holden Willis.
I thought he was just when he is decisive, and this is something we talk about on the film. When he's decisive and he knows where he's going to the ball, and he lets it develop, and I know I'm hitting my back foot, I'm throwing. He's really good. It's when that indecision pops in his head that he throws the pick. He kind of, he has some issues when he kind of waits and tries to let something develop too long. Instead of kind of recognizing where he needs to go right away, getting the ball out of his hands. When he does that, he's really, really good already. You saw that on some of those throws to Weaver across the middle, to the throw to Jimmy Horn, hitting him in stride on the slant.
Yeah. I mean, on that 16-play touchdown drive that started at the USF 2, so incomplete pass. Timmy runs for 22 yards for the first down on 3rd and 10, and then they convert another 3rd and 10 with a 13-yard throw to Xavier Weaver. And then on 3rd and 16, after Timmy gets sacked on 2nd down, he scrambles out, finds Holden Willis for 32 yards, and then is able to set up that touchdown to cut it to 10. It's those minor things that you're seeing progress from the offense. And we'll fully admit that the offense is not there yet. It's not perfect. That first half is just evidence of that, but it's getting a lot better. It's just this defense is just really dragging this entire team down, and they will harp on it continuously, and they just need to get better. But you put up a pretty valiant effort against the number 5 team in the country. I think you scared them more than other teams have outside of maybe Notre Dame, and you did some good. You got to take that with you, but it's still not good enough. And if you play like you played in the first half against Tulane, you're gonna get dog walked. So give me what you did in that second half. Take that to Tulane. And I still love USF taking the ball first and trying to go score and setting the tone. I love that about them, especially on the road these last 2 games. You guys set the tone. You got to take the crowd out of it early, and Tulane's crowd being what it is.
But if you're going to do that,
Tulane's crowd.
Right.
If you're going
It's
to do
JD
that,
and you.
go for it on 4th down.
Right.
Don't punt. If you want to be aggressive and take the ball, go for it on 4th down.
Should we talk about Baty being healthy or just?
He was clear to play, right?
And let's just say the other one we didn't talk about is Xavier Weaver came out with a hamstring. He didn't play the last couple of drives. They didn't really say if it was anything to worry about. Yeah. So that'll be one to monitor.
He's been dealing with a hamstring all season.
He's
still the last
probably
month and a half.
fine.
Yeah,
But they need to rest
He
it.
came in, and they said he came out, went back in with it, and then it was kind of tight again, so he came back out. And then they had him out the last couple of drives. At that point, the game was kind of decided. So I don't know if there's much to read into that, but it's worth monitoring.
I think that's
Any
it.
questions or anything, Steve?
No. Does Jeff Scott get his first road win next Saturday?
I think so.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to end the
Another
season.
party on bourbon.
I think he's going to end the season with back-to-back road wins.
Ooh, spicy.
I like it. I'll go over 3.5. Let's get there.
3.5. Let's get this. Let's
Then
get
we'll
this
all be-
bread.
Then we'll all be frustrated about the Tulsa and ECU games.
Yep.
We're never done being frustrated about those stats.
Such is life.
Also true. But for Seth, Steve, Nathan, appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys go check out Irish 31 this weekend. Make sure you always go check them out. They've got great food, great drinks, great entertainment. Appreciate them being a sponsor all football season long. We'll be wrapping up the sponsorship soon, and something pretty exciting coming up. Already got the next one lined up for basketball season, so I'm really excited about that.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm excited for it. Big time stuff, man. I'm excited. Go Bulls.
Bulls.